podcast here.
All right.
You'll be able to, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Chris Schultz here, along with Gary Hoff, FridayNightVictors.com. We are doing episode 3 of the 2019 season. It is Wednesday, July 10th, and we're going to talk about what we view as our games of the week based on information we have right now. So I think we're each going to pick a game and kind of talk about it a little bit. We might have the same game here and there, but we will find out. First of all, how you doing? How's summer going?
It's going great.
Yeah,
it's hot here.
It's been a couple of weeks since we did our last podcast. I went on a little bit of vacation, and I went to Pennsylvania, and then I went off to Vegas. Saw our boy Mike Lush out there in Vegas.
How'd you guys set that up or what?
We did. We talked about. He said he was going to be there. I said all right, and we both laid down a bet of Shea Patterson to win the Heisman Trophy at 30-1.
It's a good bet.
Which I think it's a good bet with
30-1.
Yeah, 30-1 with a pretty good offense and maybe a defense that isn't going to be as good. They'll have to outscore people. So. Thought it was worthwhile.
Sure.
So anyways, let's jump into our games of the week. I'll go with week 1. Who's your game of the week, week 1? 2019 season.
I'm going with Madison Heights Madison at SMCC. There's a few good games in week 1.
But give us the reason you think that
I chose that one. Well, Madison Heights Madison, there's two major reasons. Madison is the defending state runner-up. Okay, lost in the finals last year to New Lothrop, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
And these two teams played 2 years ago in 2017, and Madison Heights came away in their home field in this regional final, beating SMCC in a very, very close game in the last seconds of the game. So after Central was up a couple scores, or at least 10 points, about 10 points. I think they were in the fourth quarter. So great win for Madison. I think SMCC, they have them at home at Navarre, so I think it's a big one to get off on a good start for both teams. I think both these teams have playoff aspirations, so this will be a big one.
Well, and I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay, well, you see what Frank says.
Yeah, I see that, and I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
This game won't be close. There's one player who is gone, and he was all the difference in the world. Okay. And SMCC playing at home, that game will be a blowout.
Well, you do know Madison Heights has a rich history of football before Austin Brown.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that, but they reached where they got to because of him.
Okay.
So my week 1 is going to be Airport, who was 4-5 last year, and Ida, who was 8-3 last year.
I like that game too. It's a great game.
And I think that's a good game for each team. I think they should play each other. I think it's a good matchup. Hopefully it works out and they play each other each year. It is their first meeting since 1956.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean,
I love that game.
They've played like 6 or 7 times, and it was all in the 50s. At least what we have records for.
LCA versus Huron League. That's a good game.
I think it will have. It's going to sound really weird, and I don't want to put any pressure on anyone, but playoff implications. It is a must-win for both teams.
I think so.
And because of the tough leagues that they play in, Ida in the LCAA, which is going to be good as usual, and then you got the Huron League the same way. So I just think it's one of those games, and I think it'll be a great game just because of the implications as far as you could have for a week 1.
Yeah, I love that game.
So, all right. So let's dive over to week 2. What do you got over there?
You go first.
All right. I've got Carlson at Woodhaven.
I do as well.
Both teams were 8-2 last year. They tied for the Downriver Championship last year. They opened in week 1, and Woodhaven won that game 49-35. I think that will be a game that will go a long way to determine the champion. And it comes early again, although it's not week 1, which I think is nice. But I think it'll be a great matchup. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just mirror what you say. I picked that game as well. There were a couple close calls for game of the week for me, but that is the game of the week in week 2. And as you said, it goes a long way, getting a jump start on everybody in that league. I think Carlson and Woodhaven are probably the 2 favorites. I think you can say that every year, certainly since Coach Jarmel's been there.
Well, and you throw Wyandotte in there, Allen Park, and I think Trenton will be good again. So it'll be a good league. But I think it's a big game.
At Woodhaven, though. It's
going
to be tough.
All right, week 3. What is your thoughts?
Week 3, I got the star for Whiteford versus Schoolcraft. What a great game.
And
it's at Whiteford 10-1, coming off state championship 2 years ago, and losing to the eventual state champion last year. And they've made several deep runs over the last 5 years or so as Whiteford. And Schoolcraft is one of the best small schools. I don't like to say small ball, but small schools. I think they're Division 7.
Division 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Division 6, one of the better schools. They're always tough. Very few down years at Schoolcraft. They're going to be good this year, from what I understand. They were 9-3 last year. I think this is just a great game at Whiteford.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's the game I picked as well. Schoolcraft plays in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They have 2 divisions. They're in the Valley Division, which Constantine belongs in that division as well. But they do. They have a great and rich history. They were 9-3 last year. I think they were maybe 5-5 the year before, but they were a playoff team. At Whiteford, over the last 4 seasons, I guess it is, Whiteford is 47-5,
right,
with a state title. That's just pretty incredible.
Well, other than the playoffs, deep playoff runs, I think the Schoolcraft team is going to be maybe the best team they've played in those 5 years potentially.
Yeah, that's probably
regular
pretty
season.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's something they end up doing for a long time.
I'm glad Coach Mensing scheduled that game.
Yeah,
Good
that's awesome. It's
Yep.
exciting.
Yep.
Okay, week 4. I guess I lead that off.
Sure.
And week 4 would be I have 8-3 Ida at Dundee, who was 5-4. That's a big game. I was at that game last year, which Ida won 20-3. Ida has won 6 straight in the series, and they lead the overall series 34-25 with 1 tie. So I like to throw some things out there, and
Backyard
I
ball.
think if Dundee wants to make a run at the playoffs for the first time in quite some time, they're going to have to beat Ida, and they have them at home. So your thought?
This might be the year.
Sure.
Big game in the LCAA.
What was your week?
Backyard brawl. Week 4, Riverview at SMCC. I think you mark this one down now in the Huron League as a game that goes a long way in determining the Huron League champion. I think both Riverview and SMCC are going to be darn good this year. T versus T. Who blocks it better? Who tackles better? That's who's going to win that game. At SMCC this year, as it was 2 years ago when Riverview came into the bar and put a whooping on SMCC like I haven't seen in. Well, I don't think I've ever seen it, to be quite honest.
Well, that was a really, really good Riverview team.
And I think SMCC might not have a little bit, revenge in mind, maybe, although they did beat them last year at Riverview. But no one likes to be beaten at home by 30. So I think that's a huge game. And, of course, Frank mentions Dundee, and Ida is also T versus T. So we like those matchups, T versus T, right? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
why not? Okay. All right, so let's go into week 5. Your choice.
Week 5, I've got Monroe versus Saline.
Okay.
I'm not sure where that game is this year. I didn't look it up, but you can,
I think it's at Saline.
Bad on me.
Wasn't it at Monroe last year?
I think you're right. Let's go at Saline. So that's a tough game.
That's a pretty good research you did there.
I know. Let's go with that. That's why you're here.
Okay.
But yeah, Monroe versus Saline. Saline is the pinnacle of the SEC. If Monroe wants to take that next step, they took a step forward last year. If they want to take that next step and maybe win the SEC, I think they possibly could. This game's a must. Got to beat Saline.
All right, week 5, I have Milan at Riverview. That would be 8-3 Milan from last year. At Riverview, who was 7-3. Obviously, it's a key Huron League matchup. The View won last year's game 38-20. They lead the all-time series 11-9, so it's kind of a tight series. But I think that game should go a long ways in determining who the league champ is in the Huron League.
Yeah, both those teams are going to be tough. And the game, Saline, is at Monroe, excuse me. So
at
Saline at Monroe, week 5. So that's good. Good for Monroe.
Sounds good. All right, so let's go week 6, which I think is, am I up?
Go ahead.
All right, so week 6, I've got Saline at Bedford. Saline was 11-2 last year at Bedford, was 6-5. Saline won a tight one last year, 31-26. Saline has also won 5 straight in the series and leads the all-time 13-8. Like we said earlier, they're kind of the gold standard for the SEC Reds. So it's a big game for Bedford. They get that game at home, and be interested to see how they fare in that game.
I'm going with Ida versus Hudson.
Okay.
T versus T. This might be the battle for the LCAA. LCAA is going to be very balanced, as it has been the last few years. This is the game that I think you mark on the schedule as to who might win the LCAA. This is the game you look at. Ida's, since they installed that T, Coach Potter's taken over, and they've just kept the train moving. And Hudson's just pretty much good every year. So
sure. They had it down here last year a little
yeah.
bit, but I'm sure they'll return.
Yeah, they'll return. A lot of times, when good programs have it down here the next year,
right,
they bounce back strong. So
okay,
Ida Hudson.
All right, so week 7, what do you got?
Whiteford versus Clinton.
Okay.
Clinton's last game in the
Tri-County Conference.
Tri-County Conference.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Where are they going? LCAA?
I don't. They're going somewhere, aren't they, Clinton?
Well, they must be.
Frank, help us out.
They must be going somewhere. So.
Yes. But anyway, Whiteford versus Clinton. Huge game. Whiteford in the Tri-County is pretty much utterly dominated, and the only I think game that might give them a little bit of trouble, and then maybe Summerfield, the backyard brawl of Summerfield there, is Clinton. And Clinton's been a very strong program over the years. Made at least 2 trips to Fort Field over the last few years. Mm-hmm. Clinton's going to the LCA next year.
Oh, they are.
There you
Okay.
go. Yep.
Well.
I knew something was there. Yeah, Whiteford versus Clinton. I think it's just a great game. Clinton would love to get Whiteford in their last game in the Tri-County.
Okay. Mm-hmm. My week 7 is, and I'm excited about this game. Week 7 is Carlson, who was 8-2 last year, at Harper Woods, who was 8-3. This is their first ever meeting. It is a big game for Carlson. One of the things that's nice about the Downriver League this year is they don't have 10 teams anymore. So they actually have to go out of conference and play somebody else during the course of the season, which will only prepare them for the playoffs down the road. I don't think it matters whether Carlson wins this game or not. It would be nice, but I think it would be. It's just going to be a good way for them to get better. This is Rod Oden versus Jack Jarmo, and for those of you who have followed SMCC over the years, Rod Oden was the coach at Detroit Crockett back when they played SMCC in 2009, 2010, the first days of the blog. And then when Crockett shut down, they formed, I believe it was, with Detroit Finney and became East English Village. And Oden was the coach there. He just took his game over to Harper Woods last season. Their enrollment is up, 250 kids since he's been there.
Wow.
I don't think it's coincidence. People want to be part of a winning program there. So that will be a great game.
There's some talent on that field.
And I think, I know it's early, but I would take Carlson in that game because I don't know if Harper Woods can stop the T. So. All right, let's jump to week 8. That would be me leading off.
Sure.
I'm going to go with the Colvin Cup, and that would be 9-1 Groseal at 7-3 Riverview. It's just a battle each and every year. Groseal won that game 21-14. They have split the last 8 games in the series, and then Riverview leads 37-22 all time. But it's literally, if you look back over the last 8 years. Whoever wins one year, the other team wins the following year. So maybe this is Riverview's chance to get them back and keep it going back and forth. How about you, week 8?
Well, week 8 is rivalry week.
Yeah, most places. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
In the Huron League for sure. So a lot of great games to choose from. The SEC Red, Monroe versus Bedford, week 8. I think both schools want to win that game. I don't think there's anything much to say about that. That's going to be a big time game, and if either of these two schools, Monroe or Bedford, could clip Saline, this game could be for the title right here.
Yeah,
in week 8, this game could be for the whole shebang in the SEC. We don't know a lot about Skyline or Pioneer or any of those schools, but We know Celine's going to be good. You like Bedford a lot this year.
I think they'll be good. I think they have a good
Sure.
veteran coach coming in, so it ought to be interesting.
Monroe took that step up last year. I think they're going to continue that. I think this is going to be a huge Week 8 game. I think Olive Monroe might be there.
All right. All right. Then so let's get to Week 9. Then what do you got? What do you got for Week 9?
I went with Carlson versus Wyandotte. I had a lot of games to choose from here in Week 9. Just because there's a lot of games, right?
Sure.
A lot of out of conference games, out of league games. I went Carlson versus Wyandotte. A couple years ago, that was a great game. I think you were at the game. It was early in the season, I want to say. Wyandotte's got an excellent program. Carlson has now an excellent program over the last few years with Coach Jarmo. So I'm looking at that game as being one that I think for Wyandotte, it might be that. For Wyandotte, it might be that game where maybe gets them a home playoff game type of a game, and for Carlson, it could be for the league. So I think both teams in Week 9 will have a ton to play for. I like Carlson, of course, in the game, but
that's a great game, I can't disagree with that at all.
I think they'll have a lot to play for.
And I would say my game of Week 9 is going to be Hillsdale, who was 8-2, at Dundee, 5-4. And there's a couple reasons why. Hillsdale tied for the championship last year, and Dundee has aspirations, so this could be possibly for the LCAA championship or a share of. I'll just say a share of. I would say that would be the most likely scenario.
Right.
And then a win for the Vikings of Dundee would get them in the playoffs for the first time since 2012. So it's going to have playoff implications. Hillsdale leads the all-time series 7-3. So just kind of one outside the box there a little bit that maybe not many people would pick, but I think it is a game that could come down.
Frank says it's T versus T.
Well, of course,
That's
because he doesn't know what any other offense is.
What else is interesting about those two schools?
Geez, here it comes.
There you go.
They're both SMCC graduates that coach each team. It always comes back to the Mighty Falcons and Gary Hoff.
I don't know.
So,
but that's a good game.
But anyway, so that was pretty much a quick show.
Sure.
Maybe we went about 17, 18 minutes. I mean,
we can give our sponsors some love here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's give our sponsors. Gerwick Nissan, one of our sponsors now for a few years.
And we really appreciate the effort there. There's some pretty effort. We appreciate that. So if you're going to buy a car, go get one from Gerwick Nissan. I know Gary did, and he's probably going to be upgrading this year, right? You were on a 2-year lease.
I'm up next October.
Oh, next October.
3-year lease.
Okay. Who else you got out there? Who else we need to
Level Up Training. Go see John Carabino. Get your workout on.
Yeah, I noticed when I drove by the building the other day, it's no longer Total Sports. His name's up on the building.
There you have it.
So
stepping it up. Yeah,
that's pretty good. Good for him.
Absolutely.
How about our boy Randy Wyndham over at Monroe Sports Varsity Athletic?
Monroe Varsity
Athletic. We appreciate Randy contributed in, and he did all our shirts for us, and we appreciate that. Who else we got? We got
Little Vinny's, Vince's Hot Dog Stand out in Point of Pole, Newport. Go check them out. Mondays, Dollar Dogs. Can't beat that.
Yeah, and we got Broadway Market.
Broadway Market. Yep.
There you go.
Joe Bellino. Now what is he? I don't want to say congressman, but he's
a rep of some sort.
State representative.
So
Joe.
So if you're
we helped get him elected, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know if I want to take credit for that, but I'm politically neutral.
So if you're a business out there, you own a business and you want to support high school football, you want to support a team or all the teams, support the blog, whatever, we can work it out. Just give us a shout out at FridayNightVictors@gmail.com.
And here's a new one for you. You can go Chris at FridayNightVictors.com or Gary at FridayNightVictors.com.
I have my own email now?
Yeah, you do. I didn't tell you about it. So we can do it that way as well. I think we do need to mention that Frank's schedule analysis has been up on the blog. I have been posting that every morning as soon as I crawl out of bed at about 9 a.m. And I get that posted, and I tell you what, our readership right now for July is higher than it's been in the history of the blog. I mean, people are really flocking to read that stuff, and we appreciate it. We appreciate the fact that Frank Vashner, who is the social media guy for Dundee, is the guy who did that schedule analysis, and he does a great job, so we want to make sure we give props to him as well.
He did a great job on it.
Yeah, he really did, and we've read through all of them, and they're really, really good. And I didn't have to edit anything because he's good. We'll just throw it out there.
That's why we brought
really,
Frank
really
on board.
good. So, anyways, with that, why don't we wrap up episode 3 of the 2019 podcast? And everyone, have a great day.